Well, more than a year out from Toronto's municipal election, we already know one name that'll be on the ballot for mayor. Beaches-East York Councillor Bradford, one of Mayor Olivia Chow's critics at City Hall, has announced he is running for her job. Councillor Bradford joins me live now. Great to welcome you to our new studios. Welcome.
Good morning. Great to be here.
You ran in the 2023 mayoral by-election, in which you placed 8th with less than 2% of the vote. A recent poll from Forum Research shows that if this race becomes crowded, Mayor Olivia Chow's chances of re-election virtually stay the same, but yours plummet by almost half. I wonder what you think the difference is going to be this time.
Well, look, I think Torontonians are looking for change. I think it's time for new generational leadership. I think it's time for a new chapter in Toronto. And if you ask Torontonians, and I do every day, a lot of folks feel like the best days of this city are behind us. But my goal is to make Toronto the best city in the world, full stop. The best city to raise a family, to build a business, and unlock your potential. And I think we need clarity of our mission. I think we need more focus and determination and courage to deliver that. And that is what I will offer Torontonians in the next election.
So what does your mission look like then? What would you be doing differently?
It comes down to priorities. And if you want to be the best city to raise a family or build a business, public safety is number one. We need to make this city feel safe. We need to make this city safe on the TTC. We need to make sure that we're addressing the rise of violent home invasions that are keeping people up at night. We need to make the city more affordable. If we want families to be living here in the city, we need to make sure that they have access to services that they can afford, housing that they can afford, great jobs and a growing economy. And we need to make sure that you can get around Toronto. I talk to a lot of parents, whether they're on their way to daycare or the hockey rink. It's never been more difficult to navigate Toronto. So those are the big priorities for Torontonians. Those are the big priorities for me. We need to make it safe. We need to make it more affordable. And we need to make it easier to get around for people.
I'll just challenge one point there, because the Toronto Police Board has actually said that crime rates in the city are substantially lower in the first half of 2025, specifically when it comes to violent crimes like murder, auto thefts, thefts in general. So what exactly do you think needs to be done differently? Because according to the data from Toronto Police, crime is already on the decline.
Well, it's always difficult to look at one point in time, and I think broadly you need to look at the trends and the trend lines. And the trend lines, while we're doing better this year, more broadly speaking, have been concerning. And I think it's the indiscriminate nature of the crime. You know, when you hear about, an elderly lady being stabbed and murdered in a parking lot when she's unloading her groceries, that's very unnerving. When you hear about the amount of front doors that are being kicked in violent home invasions, that is really unnerving. So we've all been out on the TTC. We've seen it firsthand. You can kind of feel some of that pressure when you go to, Bloor Station and people's backs are against the wall. It's the indiscriminate nature that I think undermines public confidence and safety. And those are the things that we need to address and take seriously as an administration at City Hall.
I want to ask you about the city's fiscal position, because you have criticized Mayor Olivia Chow in the past for raising property taxes. Of course, it's been a hard pill to swallow for a lot of homeowners. But the city is facing a $1 billion operating budget deficit. It is, for instance, this year alone going to be tens of millions of dollars short in shelter funding from other levels of government. Chow inherited more than a decade of underinvestment. And so specifically, can you say, will you not raise taxes, or what other revenue streams would you be looking at?
We're going to put together a financial plan that focuses on affordability. And again, when I think about, all the folks that are having to leave Toronto right now because they can't afford to be here, that really gives me a lot of concern. We need this city to be a place where you can raise a family, where you can be an entrepreneur, where you can start a business. But cost of living is driving people out, and that's a loss for Toronto. I think we need to look at our priorities. For too long, the city has tried to be all things to all people. We've spread ourselves a mile wide and an inch deep, and as a result, the quality of the services, the value for taxpayer money hasn't really been there. So I think we should go back. I think we should do a core services review. I've advocated for that at council. That hasn't been done in over a decade. And if you think about any other business, that is something that you are looking at on an annual basis. What are the services that are going out the door? What are we paying for them? And are they delivering the results? I will bring a culture of performance and accountability to City Hall to make sure that people are getting value for money and the services that are most important for local government.
Can you be
are
specific
there.
about which services, though, you think can be cut?
Well, that's why I want to do that review. I wouldn't, off the side of the desk sort of start identifying those things, but we can do the work. And again, if you look at the budget last year, $18.8 billion, it grew by $1.8 billion year over year. Mayor Chow has raised taxes significantly. Torontonians have had to eat a 25% tax increase.
That includes the one under John Tory,
yes,
7% in 2023.
and the largest tax increase ever under Mayor Chow, 9.5%, followed by 6.9%. So these are big numbers. And when we think about affordability in Toronto, the biggest bill that most people are getting every year is their property tax bill. And I think we have to fight harder for families and small businesses that are struggling to make it here in the city.
Okay, Councillor Brad Bradford, I'll leave it there. I'm sure we will have many more discussions in the months to come. Thanks so much for stopping by this morning.
Great to be with you.